Hello YouTube, I'm Toby, and today we're taking a look at the iMac G5. Now this particular iMac I got for very cheap online because the guy thought it was broken. Now on further investigation it wasn't broken. It's just because the operating system is a bitch to install. But before we get to the operating system and all that, I thought we might take a look at the outside of the computer. Alright, so this is the back of the computer. You can see it says iMac up here. This line up here, I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, that line up there, that's the exhaust vent for two fans. And we have a aluminum arm here that holds the entire computer in place, and the computer can pivot around it. Now down here behind the aluminum arm we have our power input for the internal power supply. And over here we have our I/O ports. We have a headphone jack, and I'm not sure if this is a mic jack or whatever that signal is, but I'm not really planning on using those. Now, as far as I know, this is a mini DVI output port, but I'm not entirely sure. Below this port we have 3 USB ports. Not quite sure what type this is, I just think it's 1.0 or something like that. Below our USB ports we have 2 FireWire ports, and below that I believe this is a modem jack, and below the modem we have our Ethernet connector. And down here in the very bottom we have our power button. This right here is our DVD-CD port. Now the computer itself actually shows some great signs of wear and tear. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there are a lot of scratches going all the way down the side of the screen. And over here it seems that it has split. It doesn't seem like the parts want to fit together right here, but I'm taking the computer apart in a little bit and we'll see if we can fix that. Here on the front of the computer we have our Apple logo. And the back also shows some signs of wear and tear. I'm not sure how well this is picking up on camera, but there are some, I'm not sure if they're scratches or what they are right here, but they're definitely bothering me. Now also on the back of the computer we have some red stains. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm hoping I can clean them off. With the purchase of this computer I also got a keyboard. It's actually kind of nice in its own way. It's got 2 extra USB ports, which is kind of cool. And I'm not sure how well it's picking up, but the keyboard is curved. Not sure what purpose this has, if it's something ergonomic or something, but yeah, it seems fine. Now as you can see the keyboard is quite dirty, so at some point in time I'm gonna have to clean it off. And up here there's a little dent or something sticking out of the keyboard. I think it just might be that it has been exposed to some heat or something. And looking at it from here on the side you can see the curvature of the keyboard. Now the guy also sent me a mouse. It's not working and it feels kind of cheap, so I don't think this came with the computer, since it seems too cheap to be something that Apple would just send out. Now taking this thing apart is actually very easy. You have 3 screws down here on the bottom. One is hiding under the little foot here, and there's one over here as well. All you have to do is loosen these. They're not going to come all the way out, but you can loosen them and you can pretty much just pop the whole thing off. Let me show you that. Alright, so now I have the screws out, and all I have to do is lift up like that, and the back panel just pretty much comes off. Now the back panel itself has some damages of its own. It's got some few dents, and this tab right here is loose. It's not going to be long before it breaks. And as you can probably tell, all of these tabs show some signs of wear and tear and a little bit of breakage on here, but hopefully this is not going to be too much of an issue. Alright, so these are the internals of the iMac G5. If you'll take a look at all these capacitors down here, these are notorious for breaking, and they're actually what I thought was broken on it when the guy told me that it wouldn't start up. but lucky for me they're all in very good condition actually. Now down here we have our power supply. I'm not sure how powerful this particular one is, but it seems to work just fine. And here we have all of our I/O ports, and we have I do believe this is the wireless modem right here, and above it we have our CMOS battery. When I first got the computer, the CMOS battery was missing, so pretty much just took it out of another computer. And I've now come in doubt whether this is the wireless card or it's this one, but I know it's down here somewhere. I'm just not exactly sure which one of these it actually is. Now up here we have our CD drive, as you can see. That's our CD port right there. So it would make sense that that is the CD drive. Now below this piece of cardboard here we have the 3.5 inch hard disk drive. I had to kind of shield it like this because the guy didn't send the screws to the proper bracket, so just to keep it in place I put the cardboard over it, and keeps it from wobbling around and hitting things. And down here we have our DDR SD RAM. I do believe it's DDR1. I have a 256 megabyte stick and a 512 megabyte stick. And from what I know, this system supports up to 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now, under this right here where it says G5 is our G5 processor. From what I know, it's a dual-core processor clocked at 2 gigahertz. And as you can see, the intake is down here, where we'll also find the speakers. But anyway, it sucks air in through here, up through what I assume is a heatsink. And the fan itself is up here, and it exhausts it out of this vent up here. And this and the fan next to the CPU fan, I believe is just a general system fan. It also has an exhaust vent up here, but it pretty much just sucks air in from wherever it can get to it. Alright, so those are the internals of the computer. I'm gonna see if I can put this thing back together and maybe fix some of the things I was unable to fix before. And then we'll just start up the machine so that you can see it in action. Alright, so we have the computer back together again. I was not able to fix the gap over here by the CD-ROM drive. Not quite sure why, but I don't care right now. So let's put it back up. Keep in mind that this thing is quite heavy, so be wary of that if you plan on moving it around a lot, that it is quite a bit heavy actually. Alright, so it's time to push the power button. Just like that. There's a little on light down here which is kind of cool. It'll just slowly fade away. Now, there's no operating system installed on this computer, so all I'm getting is a little folder with a question mark on it. I do believe that this is why the guy thought it was broken. Now, lucky for me, I do have a OS 10 installed disk. However, unlucky for me, it's not the that proper operating system for this computer, because it will not allow me to install it on the computer. This thing can run between 10.3 and 10.6, I believe, and this is 10.05 or something, and my other installed disk is 10.68 or something. So I don't have any operating systems that can run on this computer, but this will allow me to take a look at the system specs. Yeah, and as you can tell right here, it's telling me that Mac OS X cannot be installed on this computer. So that sucks, but for right now, this will allow us to do what we want to do right now, which is taking a look at our, the system profiler, just to get an idea of what is actually in this system. So now we're in system specifications. As you can see, the model name is iMac G5, and the processor is the PowerPC G5 3.0, and the speed is 2 gigahertz, so that's pretty cool. And as you can see here on memory, we have 768 megabytes, and like I said, it could support up to 2 gigabytes of system memory, so there might actually be some upgrade potential in this system. Now, something I think I failed to mention was the fact that this computer is from, I'm not sure if it's 2004 or 2005, so it is roughly 12 years old. So the capabilities of this system in modern age is kind of limited, and I'm kind of sad I'm gonna have to go out and buy an entirely new operating system disk for the computer, but I guess that'll be fine, because I really want to see what this thing can do in 2017, but that video is coming up on a later point when I finally get my shit together and buy the actual CD I need. So that was my first impressions of my iMac G5. So far I'm actually quite happy about it. I thought I'd have to put a lot of work into getting it working, but as it turns out, it works just great. Now, I do have a bit of a gripe with Apple. Whenever the pop-up says I can't install my operating system on the computer, it never really tells me why I can't do that. I have a pretty good idea of why, and I've shared that idea with you earlier, but it would be awesome if Apple would include just a little line telling me that the operating system I'm trying to install is too old or too new or something, just so that I'll know exactly what I have to do instead of just guessing my way around every problem I find. And it isn't just this computer I've had this issue with, it's pretty much every Apple computer I've tried to work on so far. They've not actually giving me any clues as to what's wrong. I'm just gonna have to guess my way around until I figure it out on my own. But with that being said, I'm very excited to get this computer up and running with the operating system and all that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for my other video on this computer coming up. Not sure when, but whenever I get the whole thing working. But thank you very much for watching. Yeah, have a nice day.